Greetings and welcome to In Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. Now, on a Monday night mass report from Arima, we heard that there were very good things in terms of the place was safe, as well as the fact that business and the mayor's office, they're doing things. So we wanted to go straight to the source. So we're speaking with His Worship, Mayor of Arima, Cagney Casimire. Welcome, Mayor. How you do?
Thank you for the invitation to your show. I'm doing fine, and Arima is doing well.
Arima is doing well, and that is the jump-off point. Talk to me a little bit about the Carnival experience, please, Monday night mass, and possibly anything else that you had before we enlarge in the conversation.
Well, Carnival was really an experience. For all the corporations, funding came late. We stuck to the core in terms of our Carnival. To be on the safe side, we were a little cautious. But our preparations for Carnival is where we think that was the engine for success. So we had, of course, the corporation prepare the venue at a high standard. It was clean. It was well prepared in terms of the preparation for the Savannah. We use the Savannah as our stage. So you go right around the Savannah. We bring bands into the Savannah to be able to be safe under police escort. So on Monday, we had a very excellent Carnival. We had about 8 or 9 bands taking part in the Carnival. The Juve was a little, subdued, but evening mass made up for it. And so with the 9 bands that we had, and the participation was excellent. It was better than previous years. So for us, the Monday night mass was par excellence.
And that preparation, I think, sometimes is so important, and that goes into the safety aspect that you're speaking about. You said you had the bands escorted into the Savannah. What are some of those relationships, those working relationships that you would have leaned on? Because I heard there was municipal police, I heard there was Army, I heard there was TTPS. Tell me a little bit about that. Thank you.
All right. So we had used our borough month, that's in August, as sort of a staging for Carnival, in that we had the meetings with the police. We had a simulation in regards to how we did our borough month, and so we took that into the Carnival. And borough month was extremely safe in terms of the procession, the Carnival procession we had then. So we were very confident that we would have a safe Carnival. So the meetings we've had with our partners would have been TN Tech, Fire Services, TTPS, WASA, the band leaders. We had some of our vendors as part of the meeting, so that they will know what we expect of them, what we expect of our spectators also, and some of the guidelines that the band leaders would have asked the TTPS to enforce. And the TTPS would have had the opportunity, together with the Arima Municipal Police, to speak to the band leaders and all the stakeholders as to what they expect and their preparations for Carnival, which included the Army patrols, which included the K9 patrol, and of course, we had the AMP at strategic points. Most importantly, we gave the assurance to the business community there will be no dislocation to their businesses within the town center, and also to the taxi drivers who only one taxi stand was dislocated, and that was the Malabar stand, which we placed no more than about a quarter kilometer away from where they usually be. So for our spectators, they knew where to go and get their transport in the afternoon, know where they'd be dropped off. And we had an excellent demonstration of how we do our vending. We recently did a vending policy. So for this vending, we had people register before. We had a business unit out. We had the public health out on the morning of Carnival, Monday and Tuesday, to look at the vendors to make sure everything is all right. We had the fire services out looking at their operations also to make sure it was safe. And we had the vendors on the verge of the Savannah, not on the pavement side, so that we will give as much as public safety as possible to be able to allow masqueraders and our spectators to be safe.
It sounds like all you could export all your model, Mr. Mayor.
Well, when we come to community gardening, I'll tell you about exporting models.
So let's get there just now. But it's one thing for you to say, okay, well, yes, this happened and this worked well. In terms of feedback from others, what are some of the things, the reports, some of the reviews that you hear coming from outside?
Okay, so that we had good involvement with the business community. We have been involved with the business community under our local economic development model, where we have 4 businessmen on a committee that will give us guidance and advice with regards to how we set up vending and how we engender economic activity within the corporation. So we know the businessmen are involved. From the spectator side, they say they need to see more development of the carnival. So we have already engaged our band leaders. We have a WhatsApp with all those band leaders that have participated, where we were sharing information back and forth as to what's happening. And we're going forward. So going forward, what we're going to do is we're going to have our prize giving ceremony, and we're also going to have our ceremony whereby we chart the way forward for the next carnival. So already in March, we're going to have our first meeting to plan the Carnival 2024.
And
how are we going to do that? Maybe we're looking at communities, how we develop the communities, and starting from incentivizing communities to be able to bring out bands. We're going to go to our secondary schools and our primary schools to ensure that they know that we're going to incentivize them to be able to put bands out for Kiddies Carnival, for the Juve, and for Tuesday night mass. Now, it's important that we work with the communities so they know that we are with them and that they can expect to participate. We already enforce the safety aspects so they know things are safe. So they could know we can move to the next level now.
And it's nice in the sense that it seems as though a lot of what I'm hearing has an underlying tone of inclusivity and having people, they have skin in the game so that they say, okay, well, yes, this is an idea that I'm also partly responsible for, so I also want to see it succeed. And I want to go back to the business community, thank you, because it seems as though there were businesses that were sponsoring bands, businesses that saying that there is good communication between your office and themselves. And what are some of the ways that you get that done? I heard about the WhatsApp group. I heard about the committee. What are some other ways in this final 2 minutes we have for this side of the conversation?
Well, really, it's getting the business community involved, not only at Carnival, but throughout our activities for the year. So get them involved in our Day of Dignity, where we do outreaches to the homeless. We have 15 NGOs that we have in that activity. And those 15 NGOs we encourage to also participate in our Juve, in our Carnival. We have, of course, our Borough Month, whereby we go and we have a month of activities, the businesses involved in that. And most of the businesses are the entertainment and leisure businesses that are involved. We have, of course, our stakeholders, such as Extra Foods and NLCB. So our business, and of course, some of our smaller businesses who support us. So it's really about getting people involved. And as you say, skin in the game right throughout the year, not only for Carnival, but throughout the year and our activities.
And with that, we take a short break. We're speaking with the Mayor of Arima, His Worship Cagney Casimire. Stay with us. We'll return with more. Welcome back. We are going in depth in terms of what is happening in the borough of Arima. We're doing so with His Worship, the Mayor Cagney Casimire. And Mayor, there's this sort of home in terms of when you go to Arima. And before we were having this conversation, I was talking about the last time that I was able to get a roti there. The fact that some of the best season doubles, I think, is by the dial. I don't know if that still obtains. I don't know if people overturn it. But community outreach is one of the things that you hinted at in the first half of the conversation. So let's take up the conversation from there. Thank you.
All right. So the community outreach starts, of course, with the understanding that the corporation can't do it all. And the understanding that we need to have our stakeholders involved. We need to have our key partners in terms of our business, in terms of our NGOs, and some of our leading citizens in the culture especially, to be able to drive us forward. But the corporation's responsibility is to create that environment to be able to give people the assurance and the confidence that when they come in, we're not leaving them alone. So that would have happened in terms of our preparations through emphasizing family within the communities, and that is how we are spending our money right now. So we're spending our money on our parks, and we're emphasizing the upkeep of our parks. So we have done our solar lights in our parks. We have 52 parks, by the way. So each community will have 2 or 3 parks on the average. So we are doing our solar lights, and we have done that in our parks. We're doing our benches next, and then we're doing some of our parks. We're upgrading the facilities. For example, we're putting down 2 jogging tracks right now in Rancho Quemado and in Richard Trace, that is in Tumpuna. And we have our Calvary basketball court that we're going to upgrade, our Hugh Hackett basketball court, and the Victory Street court, which we are going to put as a community court to train our youngsters in small sports like futsal. And these youngsters will be able to start from the ages of 5. So we're working with our NGO in that regard to be able to move that forward. So the other aspect of the community outreach is, as we said earlier on, we have our events. We have the La Roma de Parang, where we have 12 or more Parang bands that go through Arima and play for at least an hour in Arima. So that involves the Parang Association, one of our stakeholders. And we have our Day of Dignity, where we involve the 15 NGOs to reach out to our homeless. We have been able to compile 2 years databases on our homeless. So this is our 3rd year. So we'll be able to see how the homeless are coping within Arima and how we could find resolutions for them in terms of their issues. So the community outreach is really in terms of families. And one of the communities that we have been working with is the migrant community, La Casita. And that is to be able to help the integration and to move that along so that we have a good integration in terms of culture and in terms of social activity. And that is proving to be extremely fruitful because the migrant community loves to go out and socialize. So we're encouraging our locals to use the parks and to come out and picnic and to get a barbecues and to get a sports. And we have right now, in terms of sports, overwhelming demand for facilities such that we have to create new avenues for the sporting areas. And we have to, for some, try to reschedule. We don't try to turn away anyone, but today we had some problems in terms of doing some scheduling for the Community Cup and with TTFA. So yes, we have to upgrade our facilities, especially the velodrome. The Member of Parliament for Arima, we have met with the Ministry of Community, the Sports and Community Development to upgrade our velodrome, and we're right now working on the scope of works for that. I know Larry Gomes Stadium is going to be upgraded. It's a central government contract. And we also have our pool that is being developed on Subaru Street right now. So that should be completed within a year's time. That's our community pool. So yes, we upgraded our facilities. The lights at Gardenia Park, I want to give the assurance to the Malabar community that those lights will be connected by TNX soon. I've asked for the documents to be able to sign off on that so that we could get that avenue and that recreation area as one of the areas that we could use for our sporting activities.
I'm not sure you talked to me about gardening yet, but answer that after deciding, after letting me know, how do you decide what it is you're going to deal with first? And I say that because if I have a problem and it's right there, I see it every time it's in front of me, I want you to deal with that first. But as opposed to that saying, okay, well, this serves the community in this way. So the way that you were able to tie La Casita into the parks, the way that you were able to tie the parks into building capacity in some of those smaller games, how do you decide this is what we're using the resources for first?
By the demand. So we will have identified earlier on the demand. So we refurbish our amphitheater. We work on that and we spend some money on the amphitheater to refurbish it. And it is prepared for use and it was used this weekend. So the other aspect of it you talk about is how do we respond to the demands of our burgesses when they want minor repairs? Well, we have a program whereby last year we did 18 or 19 minor repairs within the town. Those are things that we thought was urgent, so we were able to do that. So we are now on our next minor repairs program where we're going to do 20 areas within the various electoral districts. That is, people who complain about their drains. The drains are not proper, they need to be rebuilt, or pavements where people may be falling and hurting themselves. So once we have those complaints from our burgesses, we put the resources together in a program to be able to address that. So there are now people who have had issues for the past maybe 5 years that we looking to resolve those issues in a very meaningful way, rather than just postpone them and say no funding. No, we're not going into the funding bucket at all. We are going to find a way to use the resources we have. And we have done that by accelerating our vending program, which is bringing in some income. So we try to generate our income to be able to fund these programs that we are speaking about with our burgesses. So we don't expect that we'll have that sort of frustration with regards to some of our burgesses. We are going to deal with their problems one by one, take it day by day, and we could give them the assurance that we're going to deal with those problems.
All right, and in the 2.5 minutes we have, remember the community gardening in
Yes.
terms of outreach and any closing statements that you have. Thank you, Mayor.
Like, so let me talk about the community resilience in terms of climate change. 2 meetings ago, we had a presentation by the Ministry of Planning and Administration, Multiculture, the multilateral agency. They did a presentation that regards to climate change. And from that presentation, we identified that we needed to do things with regards to community resilience and community sustainability. One of the programs that we have done and we did earlier on was the 1,000 tree plants. So the 1,000 tree plants, we plant fruit trees that the young people need to know about. So we have planted about 600 trees so far, and we have 2 more electoral districts to plant. But the community gardening is something that we got into about 8 months ago with an NGO. And then when the NGO had no more funds, we continued that. So it was a program where we involved the community, where we involved business, where we involved NGOs, and where we involved the corporation to bring together all the technical expertise. And one such program that got the A-grade approval today by the foundation, the Inter-American Foundation, they came to see our model. They landed today, came to us, saw the model, came with one of the NGOs, and they gave us an A-grade. That project in Rosewood has been one that we incorporate composting, water harvesting, bedding, technical expertise and teaching to the children within the community, and we're doing hydroponics now. And we have been able over the last 3 months to reap almost every 2 weeks, either pak choy, lettuce, tomatoes, celery, and in abundance to it. So we have the data to prove it. And we have also another community gardening project that is in Ganaski. That is a community that they have a different type of model with regards to medium-term crops. So it's bananas, it is dasheen bush. That's the sort of crops that they have there. They have a very small component in terms of the 6-week crop. And we want to put this community gardening in the different communities as part of the resilience and food security. But apart from that, we're also looking at water and water reservoirs in different communities by putting 1,500-gallon tanks so that they will have a basis by which if water goes, that they can get water there. And also we're going to do a solar project within communities so that we'll have ports, solar charging ports for people to charge their phones if they need to, and if current goes, and if there's an emergency. So these are the resilience projects we're trying to bring resilience to the communities, and we'll be discussing with the communities other areas in terms of where we can improve resilience, safety, and security.
And it sounds like you're really doing things, Mayor, so we want to thank you so much. Also, the fact that you're recording, you have the data, which will influence further action. So we want to thank you for your time. Thank you for the work that you're doing. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, this has been In Depth with me, Dike Rostant. Thank you so much for joining us.